Hi, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening. So whatever day is there today on your side of the world. So here we are again for the second part of our review. And at this moment, we're going to talk about the gift of the Magi. So this is uh, another part of your exam, and you're going to encounter this. So it would be better for us to have this as part of our review so that you wouldn't be shocked when you encounter this in your exam. So, like what we did in the road not taken, we are going to read this once this time, and we're going to unlock difficult words as well. We're going to familiarize ourselves with some of the words that are not necessarily easy, and then we are going to interpret, to analyze this short summary, and then we're going uh, to analyze and interpret this one. Okay, so let's get started. So, The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. The story tells us of a young married couple, James, known as Jim, and Delia Dillingham. The couple has very little money and lives in a modest apartment. Between them, they have only two possessions that they consider their treasures: Jim's gold pocket watch that belonged to his father and his grandfather, and Delia's lustrous long hair that falls almost to her knees. Okay, so before we continue, we're going to unpack this paragraph over here. So we have two main characters. We have James, also known as Jim, and then we also have Delia or Della, and uh, their surname is Dillingham. Okay, it's not Dillingham, it's Dillingham. So the couple has very little money, so dili kay sila nakadato, and they live in a modest apartment. So we have an adjective here, which is modest, meaning this is not extravagant. Okay, simple lang siya. That's modest apartment. So between them, they have two possessions. So na sila yung mga items that they do have. The first one is Jim's gold pocket watch. So ang possession ni Jim, ang iyang pagmamay-ari is this gold pocket watch. So a pocket watch is not like a wristwatch. Kaya di ba, wristwatch, we put this on our wrist. Pero ang gold pocket, we put this in our pockets. And na siya chain. So, yun na ang pocket watch. Okay, we don't use pocket watch commonly nowadays. Kaya na naman tayo wristwatch, and also we have phones. So by the way, this is written in the early 1900s. So murag mga 1907, somewhere there, 1910. So medyo old din siya mga story. And the second possession na mentioned rin is Dahlia's lustrous long hair. So when we talk about lustrous, meaning it's shiny. Okay, so lustrous meaning shiny. Shiny long hair that falls almost to her knees. Medyo taas-taas ang buhok ni Dahlia, and it's a very beautiful set of hair. Okay, so we have a couple, and they live in a modest apartment, and they don't have much, although they do have their own possessions: Jim's pocket watch, and then Dahlia's long hair. Okay, let's proceed to the second paragraph. It's Christmas Eve, and Delia finds herself running out of time to buy Jim a Christmas present. After paying all the bills, all Delia has left is $1.87 to put towards Jim's Christmas present. Desperate to find him the perfect gift, out she goes into the cold December day, looking in shop windows for something she can afford. So what happens here is that it's Christmas Eve, so meaning December 24, okay, sa gabi. And Delia finds herself running out of time. So wala na siya time to buy a Christmas present para kang Jim. So Delia uh, has managed to pay all the bills, pero gamay na lang ang kambyo sa iyang kwarta, which is $1.87. So kaning $1.87 sa una sa early 1900s manayang iyang amount, no? But the value of $1.87 karon is medyo dili na siya ingana. So we are going to check it out kung pila gyud ang value aning ano $1.87. Let us try to see it. So ang $1.87 kay 67 and 18 cents na siya. 65 rather, $65.18. I-convert na to na sa pesos kay dollars man $65.18. Sa peso pa na, it's 3,660. So 3,660 na ang value sa kaning $1.87. Okay. So na 3,000 na ini si Delia. If we are going to recontextualize the value of $1.87. Desperate to find him the perfect gift, out she goes into the cold December day. So nigawa siya sa ilang balay, looking for shop windows for something she can afford. So nangita siya og regalo niya kang Jim. So muna yung nakitabo. Sa third paragraph, she wants to buy Jim a chain for his pocket watch, but they're all out of her price range. Rushing home, Dahlia pulls down her beautiful hair in strands and stands in front of the mirror, admiring it and thinking. After a sudden inspiration, she rushes out again and has her hair cut to sell. Della receives $20 for selling her hair, just enough to buy the platinum chain she saw in a shop window for $21. So what happens here is that while Dahlia was looking for a gift for gift for Jim, she finds a chain for the pocket watch ni Jim. Siguro ang kaning pocket watch ni Jim, wala na ni siya chain. Watch na lang. Wala na gani ang nabilin. So, wala na tong chain. So Delia finds a chain. However, it's too much out of her price range. So meaning dili kaabot niyang kwarta. So Delia pulls down her beautiful hair, niuli siya sa ilang balay, nanggaan niya buhok, and stands in front of the mirror. And then after a sudden inspiration, she rushes out again and has her hair cut to sell. So meaning na di pa gupit niya or di pa cut niya yung hair. Yang gibaligya. So in the original story, niadto siya sa isa ka salon and then she sold the hair to a wig maker. So gibaligya niya yung book. Then Dahlia receives $20 for selling her hair. So nabaligya niya yung book for $20 and we're going to contextualize that. How much is $20 in a recent time? So $20 for now is $697.15. Kung ipeso na to na, it is 39,155 pesos. So mahal siya nga buhok, no? Because it's 39,000. And mahal po din siya nga chain. Dako ang kantidad. So, Delia sells her hair. It's $20 or 39,000 pesos. And then, just enough to buy the platinum chain she saw in a shop window for $21. So, enough na yung kwarta. $20 plus the $1 na naa siya daan. So, it's $21 to buy the platinum chain. If you're thinking, what's the platinum chain? Platinum, of course, is one of the elements na siya sa periodic table of elements. A platinum chain or anything that is made up, it's made of platinum. It's a little bit more expensive than gold. So kung naka-gold na chain, And if you have a platinum chain, the platinum chain is more expensive than the gold chain. We would think that gold is expensive. It is expensive, but what is more expensive than gold? We have platinum. And maybe we have diamond, but that's for another thing. Pero ang platinum chain is a little bit more expensive than gold. So, kana mahal-mahal ang gusto ni Delia, no? So, that's it. Nakapalit siya og chain. Now, if we proceed, when Jim comes home from work, he stares at Delia, trying to figure out what's different about her. She admits that she sold her hair to buy his present. Before she can give it to him, however, Jim casually pulls a package out of her overcoat pocket and hands it to her. Inside, Delia finds a pair of costly decorative hair combs that she'd long admired but are now completely useless since she's cut off her hair. So, what happens is that uh, Delia comes back home, prepares the gift for Jim, and then Jim comes home and Jim just stares at Delia, trying to figure out what's different about her. Obviously, what's different about her is that she has no hair already, or perhaps kalamubo na ang buhok ni Delia. Okay. She admits that she sold her hair to buy his present, so she tells Jim na gibaligya niya iyang buhok so that she could find a gift for him. And then Jim pulls out something from his pocket and then shows Delia that Jim's gift for Delia is a pair of costly decorative hair combs. So meaning uh kaning sudlay ang regalo ni Jim kay Delia. Na katong sudlay that costly meaning it's expensive, decorative, the decorations, the ornaments. This is what Delia's dream comb for herself para dili niya mapalit because of they are not that rich. But now the decorative hair comb is practically useless because at this point Delia has no hair to use it for. So we could think na maybe nagpaupaw din si Delia no kaya wala na siya yung buhok. But that's up for debate. But maybe Delia just cut her hair very short to the point that a comb is, not necessarily that important for the hair. So man ang nahitabo. But asa gikuha, the question here is that where did Jim get the money to buy Delia her costly decorative comb? So we discover that in the last paragraph, hiding her tears, she jumps up and holds out her gift for Jim, the watch chain. Jim shrugs, some shrug, the raising of the shoulders. Jim shrugs, plops down onto the old sofa, mura siyang naluya sa sofa, puts his hands behind his head, and tells Delia flatly that he sold his watch to buy her combs. So at the end of the story, in the summary, we discover that Jim bought the combs for Delia using the watch that he earlier possessed. So what happens here is that Delia, wanting to gift Jim something, cuts her hair, and then Jim, on the other hand, wanting to give something for Delia, sells his own watch. Both gifts are rendered useless because wala na sila gamitan. They don't have the items that they are going to use the gifts for, right? The hair is absent. The watch is absent. Therefore, the chains would not be that of a purpose. The comb wouldn't be a purpose as well because there is no hair for Dahlia. So, walay gamit ang ilang mga gifts. But in the story, in the original story, uh, we we understand that those are not really useless gifts. Although practically they are useless, but according to O. Henry, the writer, the gifts are not useless because they serve as a testament or as proof that they love each other, because they are ready to sacrifice something from their own in order to give something for their partner. So it goes to show that the gift, even though they are practically useless, they are emotionally very useful in a sense, because they show that they love each other. So the reason why it is called the gift of the Magi, because as we all know, the Magi, or the wise men, or the kings who gave Jesus Christ the gift during, or the gifts during his nativity, right? So this is an allusion, or this is a callback, or this is an intertext, okay? So mura gina-mention sa writer ni O. Henry nga the gift of Delia and the gift of Jim is somehow the same with the gift of the Magi during the Magi's visit to the infant Jesus Christ. Okay. So they also, the writer also thinks that maybe Jim and Delia are somewhat wise men. Murag pareha sila sa Magi. And kana, because they are wise enough to actually give the other gifts that are not necessarily useful at that moment, but are morally very useful in a sense. Kay, although again, it is practically not useful, it shows their love for their partner. The same thing with the Magi. If you are really going to think about it, any gift for the infant Jesus Christ wouldn't be of value, because the the infant that you are giving your gifts to is literally the God of the universe. So any of your gift wouldn't be, so they wouldn't be any of value for that God. God knows. But the point of the gift is not necessarily the gift, but the giving of the gift, the effort of giving the gift, the thought of giving. So man ang gift of the Magi. The gift there is not the frankincense, myrrh, and gold, or the decorative comb, or the chain, the platinum chain. It's not that. The gift is the thought, the effort of giving. Mo na siya ang point ni O. Henry, and that is the basic point of the short story. Okay. So now explore we're going to explore the questions that may appear in your exam. Okay. So let's see. Let me just go to the reviewer that I gave you. So here we go. Mananang reviewer, right? So here the central theme. Okay, so the central theme is sacrifice. Okay, here's the thing. Some books, or maybe your exam, will mention a theme. Okay, kaninga term, kaning theme. The theme is not sacrifice. Okay. The correct answer maybe is sacrifice in the exam. But when you talk about a theme, it is not one word. A theme is a sentence. A theme is a thesis statement. It is an argument. It is a belief. Okay. The theme maybe, if we're going to push this sacrifice, siguro ang statement niya is like this. The true gift is sacrifice, or the greatest gift is sacrifice. Maybe that is the theme, because again, when you talk about a theme, it is a sentence, it is a statement. It is not just a word. Pero for the sake of your exam, maybe you are going to find that the answer or one of the choices is this. Kaning isa lang siya pa word, sacrifice. That is not a theme, but for the sake of your exam, maybe that is the theme. Okay, that is a central theme, sacrifice. So the next thing is the kind of irony in the story. So the story has an irony. Okay, so in figures of speech, ang kanang irony, there are 4 levels of irony. The first level is the most common. This is the sarcasm. Okay, meaning ng sarcasm, kind of when you say something but you mean something else. Okay, you mean the opposite. So for example, when you say nagwapa kay ka, but really what you mean is that dili gid siya gwapa, right? Or kanang your classmate arrives late and then you would say, no, ala sayuhan mo eh. But then truly they are late. So that is what we call a sarcasm, okay? That is the first level of irony. Second level of irony is we have the dramatic irony, where uh, as audience, we know what's happening, but the characters do not know what is happening. Right? So as audience, we know that something bad is going to happen, but the characters themselves do not know it yet. So wala siya ang situational or dramatic irony. We have here the situational irony. Although I do not agree that this is a situational irony. Situational irony is like paradox, right? Sa mga paradox, kana ganing uh, gusto ka mo kuwag tubig, for example, pero pag on mo sa gripo kay kanang kusog kaayong agas. O nga, sa kakusog sa agas kay na nahilamo sa imo ang tubig. Okay, so that is situational irony. But this is not situational irony, kaning gift of Magi. This is what we call cosmic irony. A cosmic irony is when the universe has other plans for you. Okay, when the stuff that you intend to achieve is not given to you by the universe. So mo na siya cosmic irony. For example, in the case of Jim and Dahlia, they would like to gift each other the stuff that they would use for their possessions, right? Jim would like to give Delia the comb for her hair. Delia would like to give Jim a chain for his pocket watch. Pero ang ending, di baligya din nila tong mga bagay-bagay. So, dili na magamit tong ilahang intended purpose sa ilang gift. So, that is cosmic irony. What you want to achieve is hampered by the universe. Wala siya cosmic irony. But again, for the sake of the exam, you have to remember that this is situational irony, right? So, yeah, situational irony, just remember that. Next, the significance of the title. It alludes to the biblical Magi who brought gifts to Jesus. So like what I said, why is this story entitled the Gift of the Magi? It's called the Gift of the Magi because it is kind of Magi. This is an allusion, okay? When you talk about allusion, it means that you are mentioning something from another text and using that mention to your own text. So how do I put this differently? Uh, when when you call back, when you mention something, when you mention a concept from another literature and then you pull that into your own literature, that is allusion. So for example, if you're making a story and then in your story you are going to a concert and you are mentioning one K-pop idol, for example, and then nangaon daw mo dito sa favorite restaurant ato nga K-pop idol, that mention of that K-pop idol is an allusion. Okay, that is what we call an allusion. Something from another literature or another text, you bring it into this new text. Mana siya allusion. So yeah, the word Magi here, hindi siya Magi, it's Magi. The word Magi is an allusion to the biblical Magi who brought gifts to Jesus. And then finally, we have this part right here, what the setting contributes to the mood of the story. So what the setting contributes? The setting we all know is the time and the place of a story. So the time here is that it's Christmas time, right? And yeah, we could also describe the place as an urban place. Kaya nga nung urban man siya because na sila sa apartment and then na ay mga windows na pwede ka mag-shop. So meaning na sila sa murag city. Okay. So how does the story setting contribute to the story itself? So according here, the suburban or urban setting adds tension and suspension to the narrative. So nganong nag-add man daw og tension and suspension to the narrative? To be honest, you just have to remember these terms because probably these are the correct answers in the questions. But really, if we're going to analyze it more carefully, unsa man na contribute sa being it the Christmas season and being it in the suburban or urban setting. So the setting that is the suburban setting brings in the tension. Managi mention niya. How is the tension being brought by the suburban? Ganong nagkaroon man og tension. There's tension. When you talk about tension, these are the forces that you feel when there these are the energies that you feel when opposing forces are rubbing each other. Okay, opposing forces, and when these opposing forces rub each other, the energy that you feel from that collision, from that pagbangga, that is what we call the tension. Okay, so how is the urban setting contributing to the tension? That is the question. Now, if we're going to really analyze, because the setting is in urban setting and Christmas spaghetti, you can see everyone buying gifts. You can see everyone shopping, wrapping their gifts and all that. Di ba? Pag magpasko man, makita gini mo sa palibot ba ang kay Christmas lights, ang kay Christmas decors, ang kayog ka na namalit ng regalo. Because you see these people preparing for Christmas, it adds to the tension that you should also prepare for Christmas. Kumana siya. Nagka-prepare man sila, and then you are not preparing. So kana siya nga opposing force ba nag-prepare sila nga ikaw wala nag-prepare. That feeling na murag halang anong wala ko nag-prepare dapat nag-prepare po. So that tension happens when you are in the suburban or urban setting. Eh kung wala ka sa urban setting, when you live alone in the forest, for example, you wouldn't see the other people preparing for Christmas, right? So kung naka sa medyo bukid-bukid na area and lagyo ang mga balay, maybe you wouldn't feel much pressure. Okay? Dili man yung makita nga nag-prepare po sila, right? So muna siya nag-contribute sa iyang tension. Suspension. Unsa man ni suspension? We talk about suspension. You stop something, manay suspension. Okay? So it adds tension and suspension. I'm a little bit concerned there is a term suspension to the narrative. Okay, we talk about suspension in a figurative sense or in a story sense. Namong tay ginatawag na suspension of disbelief. Kanang naay mga parts sa story nga dili katuuhan pero motuo na lang ta. That is what we call the suspension of disbelief. So I don't understand what is the sense of the word suspension here because apparently this does not point to a suspension of disbelief. But again, this is a review. So I suggest that you just familiarize this term or kaning statement, and then maybe you can find a version of this statement sa choices, and maybe that is the correct answer. So what we're doing now is we're just familiarizing you with the terrain of the exam para dili mo ma-shock. Okay? Para na ato ang purpose. So therefore, if you see this this statement, maybe that could be the correct answer. But again, uh, I am doubtful of this term suspension up to the narrative. I don't know. Tension, it adds tension, really, but it adds suspension. I don't necessarily believe that. But let's just continue. Okay. So, yeah, gift of the Magi. And then napabay ko ang... Okay, what Jim and Delia sacrifice? So, they sacrifice their prized possessions. Okay. So, gi-sacrifice ni Jim ang iyang pocket watch, and then gi-sacrifice ni Delia ang iyang hair. How is Jim's pocket watch important? Or how is that a prized possession? Nganong masulti man nato ang important ning pocket watch para kang Jim? It is important because we know that the pocket watch belonged to Jim's grandfather, and then the pocket watch later belonged to Jim's father. And then later, the pocket watch belonged to Jim. So, in other words, it is an heirloom. Okay, heirloom. An heirloom is moral pamana ba? Sa mga pamana. Andumanan. So, mana siya. Uh, it is important because it is an antique item, and the forefathers of Jim previously owned it. So, na siya sentimental value. Okay. So, na siya yung nana. The possession na po ni Delia is her lustrous, shiny hair. So, gwapa kayo buhok si Delia, and mo na siya ang iyang possession. It is strange because if you are going to think about it, ang possession ni Jim kay it's not part of his body, right? Yung possession ni Delia is part of her body, yung hair. So what's up there? Ang say na no, what is the writer trying to tell us? Na ang value sa woman kay attached sa iyang body. Mhm. Ang value sa man kay ang time. Mhm. So, maybe nga na siya. Okay. And then there is a other box, the narrator's identity and purpose. So the narrator is an omniscient observer, providing insights into the character's thoughts. So I want you to direct your attention here sa word na omniscient. Omniscient. So if you see a word na naay omni, omnivore, omniscient, omnipotent, pa na siya. Sa omniman, sa makadungog kag word nga naay omni, it means all, tanan. Okay. When you see scient, it means knowledge. Okay. So, scient, knowledge, omni, all. So, when you have a word that is omniscient, it means all-knowing. So, kabalo siya sa tanan. Okay. So, meaning the narrator here is omniscient, all-knowing. Kabalo siya ang sinahitabo kang Delia. Kabalo siya ang sinahitabo kang Jim. Kabalo siya unsay nahitabo sa mind ni Delia. Okay, kabalo siya unsay ginaisip ni Jim. So when you have an omniscient narrator, it means that this narrator knows everything, even the thoughts of the characters. They can go inside the head of the characters. They can go inside the body of the characters. They can go anywhere in the story. Mana siyang omniscient narrator. And then, because the narrator is omniscient, the narrator knows everything, the narrator provides insights or ideas into the character's thoughts. So meaning, there is a moment when we see Delia going back to their house and then observing herself, looking at her hair, we know that Delia is thinking about cutting her own hair para na siya mapalit for Jim. So that's it. Okay, the narrator is omniscient. It knows all. So the resolution's impact to the reader's interpretation. So I want you to think about this word resolution, right? In every story, the last part is the resolution. Okay. It is where the conflict is resolved, right? If you could remember. Kung may conflict sa story, kung asa to nasolusyonan ang conflict, that is the resolution. Okay, the resolution is in the story is uh, the part when we knew as readers that they have bought useless gifts for each other. So motong resolution kanang kabalo na ta nga gipalitan nila ang isa't isa og useless nga regalo, right? That is the resolution of the story. So what is that? What is the impact of that resolution to us, the readers? So it reinforces the theme of sacrifice and love. So according to this, reinforce meaning it helps the theme of sacrifice and love. Very weak kaya siya nga paano idea, but really if you find this in the exam, maybe that is the correct answer. So I suggest that you familiarize these terms so that may points sa exam. But really, if we're really going to think about it, because that is our job is to think. Now, the resolution's impact to us, the reader, is that you have to remember that this is cosmic irony, right? Kanang irony ni siya. Somehow, discovering that the gifts na ilahang gipalit for each other is at the end very useless, practically speaking. Uh, it only reinforces the thought of regret if you really think about it. Economic regret. Economic regret man. We all know that they are not rich, right? They are struggling. They live in a modest apartment. Wala kayo sila kwarta and all that. They are a newlywed couple. They're just starting. So to find at the end of the day that that the gift that you bought is actually very useless, that is an economic regret. Sayang ay, that is the impact. That is the impact of the resolution to us, the reader. But we have to remember that the title of this story is The Gift of the Magi. So therefore, after feeling the economic impact, you are going to feel like you're going to feel some relief, because at the end of the day, even though you felt that economic regret, you don't feel the emotional regret because at the end of the day, you felt that your partner really thought about you, right? Nagpag-isipan ka nila ba? And that is a very nice thing to know, even though nakagasto pa og mahal. So maybe there's tension there, right? May tension there. So maybe for me as a reader, I could say that the impact of the resolution is the tension between economic regret and emotional satisfaction, right? So na siya, nakay-regret nga na feel economically, sayang imong kwarta. But at the same time, you have this satisfaction nga na feel because you know that your partner loves you and that you also love your partner. So kanta siya the tension of economics and emotionality. Wala siya ang impact for me as a reader. So I don't know for you guys, okay? We have different minds, we have different interpretations. So your reading of this short story would be very different from me. Pwede siguro nga kanang similar, but it's not going to be exact. So, in my opinion, asking this question in the exam is really stupid. Dili siya, dili siya tama nga ipangutana sa exam because kung kanimo ang question and then multiple choices, it implies that isa lang yun ang tamang answer, right? But really, when you read something and you are going to interpret it, maglahi-lahi gid mo ana og interpretation, meaning maglahi-lahi mo answer. So to say nga isa lang ang answer sa isa lang ka question, that is basically wrong in terms of literature, right? Pero kung math na, isa lang gid ang answer. But since this is English, we're asking about interpretation. Interpretations are going to be really different. So meaning for me, this is not a good question in a multiple choice exam. But unfortunately, this appears in your exam. You have to familiarize this. Okay? So, na siya ang mga nahitabo sa kaning review for the gift of the Magi. Okay? So, I think that ends our brief review. In our later meeting, we're going to talk about the other stuff that are left in your review work. So thank you very much for listening and for watching. And if you have any questions or anything, any concern, just send a message kay para mabuhatan nato na og Magi. Okay, so thank you very much and see you later.